Hi, my name is Veronica, and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book tag or check-in. I am super excited to do this tag. I watch these every single year, midway through the year, so like June or July, and I always love answering these questions. So this year I actually wanted to participate in it and do it myself. I have water because I know I'm about to be talking a lot because this is going to be about a lot of my favorite books that I've read this year. Some books I'm super excited for that are coming out later this year, and just the standouts as well as some like disappointments that I had this year. The best book that I've read so far this year, hands down, has to go to God of Fury. This was my second read of the year. I gave this book a 5-star. This was my first romance. This is in the Legacy of God series. Everything about this book was perfect. Like literally, these are my tabs. And I was just so obsessed with it. It was so good. I love Nikolai and Brandon. I love the story. I loved everything about it. It was just amazing. It made me cry a little bit. It made me happy. It made me sad. It made me angry. All the emotions that you can think of, I had in this book. And with this being my first romance, I don't know if that was a good or bad thing because I just fear that nothing is going to live up to this. And this being the first one also, I feel like was such a good introduction into it. I literally think about these characters every day. Nikolai is my favorite man in the Legacy of God series, and I feel like this book is the reason why. I just love him. I love really getting a better understanding about these characters, and I just love this entire series, and this was my favorite book out of that. The best sequel goes to two books, Hunt the Villain, which is in the Villain series, and Clockwork Princess, which is in the Infernal Devices series. I'm going to start with Hunt the Villain first because I read it first. Again, a good romance by Rena Kent. What was different for me in this book was that there was more mafia aspects being talked about versus like in God of Fury or any of those other Legacy of Gods books. It's just hinted at, and I really love the plot within this book. I love the emotional character development. I love the storyline. I love the characters. I love that they were mutually pining for each other for years, and just so much of the story was so good. I really love also too that early on you get a reason behind why these two don't like each other, and just getting a better understanding of who they are as characters really is what set that book apart. It just helped me get more ingrained and more invested in their story. And then Clockwork Princess, which is the third book in the Infernal Devices series. I gave this book a 5-star. I cried so much in this book. I loved it. It was the perfect conclusion to these characters' stories. It just was everything I could have wanted and more, and I honestly was not expecting this to be a 5-star, only because the other ones weren't, and I knew that Cassandra Clare, I was liking her writing and her stories and the characters, and I just didn't expect to have anything like that out of this series. This surmounted literally all of my expectations. It was amazing. I loved what the characters went through. Well, there are some parts that I didn't love that they went through, but I really love where she went with the story, how far she started, a lot of the things that needed to be tackled to finish off the series. I thought it was good. I love the character development within the story. I love some of the sacrifices that had to be made. If you've read it, you know. If you haven't, well, you've read a Cassandra Clare book, I'm hoping, by this point, so you kind of know her style. But it just was amazing, and all three of those books that I talked about, so God of Fury, Hunt the Villain, and Clockwork Princess, were all 5-stars. So to me, that just makes sense that they were my best books and the best sequels. These are 3 new releases that I'm looking forward to reading in the back half of the year that I didn't get to in the beginning half. That's going to be Broken Dove, My Dreadful Darling, and Fever Dream. All of these are books that I just didn't have the opportunity to get to. I had so many books that I was reading that were either big fantasy books or a part of the series, so Cassandra Clare, or really anything that was didn't allow me to pick up any of these books. So for Broken Dove, that is the sequel to Silver Elite. That came out around other books that I was reading that I was really excited for, so I just didn't get the opportunity to read it. I have seen really good things about it, so it makes me even more excited to pick up the sequel. My Dreadful Darling, I was honestly waiting for the second book to come out, which it has now, and I wanted to read those back to back, and they're both big dark romance books, so I just want to read that when I'm in the mood for it. And then Fever Dream, the only reason that I haven't read that is because I have not read Reckless. I know, shocker, and I just don't want to go into Theo's sister's story without really getting a better understanding of Theo. So that is my plan, to read Reckless Before Fever Dream, and then I'm going to read that. So I have 3 releases that are going to be my most anticipated. My first most anticipated release is ACOTAR 6. I think me and everybody else, when we heard that Sarah J. Maas was not only coming out with a 6th, but a 7th and an 8th book in the ACOTAR series, just mind blown. Like, I am so excited about that book. I can't even function. Like, I need October here yesterday. I need to be reading that book. I need that book in my hands. Like, that is my most anticipated release of the second half of the year. I know it's going to be good. She just has done such a good job with the series thus far, so I expect the story to be so amazing like all the rest of hers. My next one is going to be Daybreak, which is the sequel to Nightshade, which was one of my 5-star books of last year. And when I say that I think about this book truly almost every single day, it is ridiculous the amount of brain space that this takes up. I just cannot believe that this book comes out in July, and I am just so excited. This was originally my most anticipated, but then, you know, ACOTAR. So it just is then my second most anticipated, and that's another one that I am so excited to see, like, how this story is going to wrap up. I am ready to see the yearning and the groveling and the pining between these two characters in the story. I know it's going to happen. That just makes me more excited for it. And then my last one is going to be Burn of the Everflame, which is another release that got announced by Penn Cole that I was not expecting. This book has been not even like put off, has not been announced in a long time, and she got traditionally picked up, so whatever was going to originally be the date, I guess it got pushed off. And then seeing that it's in September, my birthday month, that is the greatest present ever. It just makes me so excited. Again, she is an amazing author. The series has been amazing so far, so the Kindred's Curse saga, and it's just another one where I'm like, I wish I had it now so I could read this, because I just know it's going to be good. And then again, I have 3 more books for my biggest surprises of the year. First, I'm going to start with Bad Bishop, which I read back in January, and this is a Mafia romance by L.J. Shin. And if you haven't seen this book, I would be shocked. This is really blown up. I remember the reason why I originally was picking this up was because of the character art in the story that I saw the author post. And then when I was getting ready to read it, so many people were talking about how much they loved it. I had not seen one negative review on it, and I was like, okay, ooh, that's really high praise. And I've read stuff from her before, so I didn't doubt her, but I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. I read this in one day. I loved Tieran and Lila. I loved the pacing of the story. It was just so good. And I guess the reason why I was surprised is mainly because Tieran, even though he's this big bad mafia man, this man had me cackling so much throughout the story, and I did not expect it. Like, yes, you're going to have some type of personality, but I'm expecting more brooding and mysterious, which he was, but then he also was freaking hilarious, which just made this book that much better, and I really, really loved it. And then, Blood of Hercules. This is as big as a shock to me as it probably is to you and a lot of people. This was a book that I initially was not going to read, because when I read the synopsis when it was indie published, it was giving off like Why Choose vibes, and that is not my vibe at all. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm really more of, I want you with one person, let's stick with them. And so even though at that time it was not confirmed, I said, no, like, I'm going to push this off. It doesn't matter that it's Greek mythology, even though I love it. Like, I'm not feeling it. And then one day, I just thought of this book and said, you know what, like, what is there to lose? Let me pick it up. The worst I can do is hate it. Joke is on me because I love this. It was amazing. Oh my gosh. The humor in this was so funny. Like, it was my type of humor. And I know that is the reason why a lot of people like don't necessarily like this book, is the humor. But I loved it. I loved the males in this book. I loved how mean they were, which is crazy for me to say. I don't really like mean male characters, but I feel like it made sense in this book for some of them. And just the way that this author like wrote her knowledge of Greek mythology, it really brought me in and just immersed me so much within the story. I read it in 2 days, which is another shocker because it's a 500-page book, and I loved it. So I was surprised because it was having so many mixed reviews, and I didn't originally plan on picking it up. So Yeah, I love this. And then my last one is City of Bones. And not because I didn't think this wasn't going to be good or that I wasn't going to like it. It was more because this book had been on my TBR for a while and I wasn't sure if I was going to pick it up this year. Again, on a random day, I decided I'm filling the series now. I picked it up. I really, really liked it. I will say I was thoroughly surprised by how fantasy forward it was. I guess I just expected more romance as kind of the forefront, and it really wasn't. And I actually really appreciate that about this series. I think that that is something that the author does a really good job of. She gets you really invested in the world, so the shadow hunters and the mundanes, which are humans and vampires and all that, and the main characters. And then she also gets you invested in their relationships with these people and their parents and the effects that that has on their life, and just what it's like being a teenager in this world and how that is affecting them in their day-to-day life. And I just really liked it. I really also loved Cassandra Clare's writing. I thought that that was amazing for this being a YA book published back in like the 2010s. It was good to see. It was very refreshing in it. I have like flown through these. I've loved them so much. It has just become, honestly at this point, I could say like a comfort series. I didn't read this as a kid, so reading it as an adult has just been the greatest highlight of my year so far. Okay, for my biggest disappointment, I have 4 books, and I don't want to be a negative Nancy, so I'm not going to talk about them that long, but I will name off the 4. That was Fury Bound, Love Song, Heartless Beloved, and Twisted Pawn. Let me just start with the one that I know most people are going to be the most shocked about is Heartless Beloved. I love dark romance. I got into it last year, and I truly thought that I was going to love this story. I had seen everybody give this a 5-star. So this is a book I expected to be a 5-star. For me, sadly, it was not. I have just learned that I think Lola King's type of dark romance is too dark for me, and that I'm not into the characters and the story and the journey that they're going through. So I just stepped away from that series. And then Fury Bound, which is the sequel to Dire Bound. I love Dire Bound. I was so excited about Fury Bound, and then, you know, they got picked up and they got pushed out. And I started reading it, and truly to me, I just didn't love the pacing of this book. I didn't love like the lustful thoughts of the male main character. I didn't love how long we spent in like certain sections of the world, and other sections I felt like were glanced over. I don't feel like things were explained very well. It just really took me out of the story. And then the ending of it was so anticlimactic that it made me say, honestly, I don't want to continue this. And that makes me so sad because I love Dire Bound. So not saying I won't ever read anything else by them, but I just know that this series, for me, I'm done with it. And then we have Love Song by Elle Kennedy. I'm a huge Elle Kennedy fan. I love her. I love her Briar series, Off Campus, all of that. I love the Graham Effect. So when I saw that she was doing another 2nd gen book, I said, okay, sign me up. And at that, it's Garrett, Graham, and John Logan's kids. Literally say less. And really, for me, the only reason why this was a letdown is because the male main character's thoughts about the female main character and how he talked about her and his, I guess, his like for her and how he felt about her, it was all very lustful. And I'm like, yes, I know I think he was 21, a 21-year-old man, but I don't want to be reading about you talking about her body constantly. Give me something else, like, do you like her brains? Do you think she's smart? That's the same thing. Do you, do you see her in a different light now? Just something besides you thinking that she looks a certain way. And that was the reason that, like, I didn't really love it. I did love seeing, like, the other characters in the story, the like cameos, just the found family within it. That was still very much present. And then the last one was Twisted Pawn, which is the sequel or follow-up, if you will, to Bad Bishop. And this again was now another release that I was so excited about because you get breadcrumbs of these characters throughout Bad Bishop. And when I read this book, I didn't like it. I didn't like their dynamic. I didn't love the pacing of the story. I didn't love the flow of it, or really just anything. And again, I'm so disappointed because I love a good mafia romance. I love a good dark romance. I was so very much anticipating this book because of the breadcrumbs we get, and then I feel like when we read this book, it was just completely different characters. I didn't vibe with them. I didn't like them. To me, they honestly seemed like they hated each other, so I didn't understand the reasoning. So this, again, another one that I frankly didn't like, and I'm so sad about that. All of those were ones that I was just so expecting for them to be highly rated. My favorite or new to me author is, if you could tell by the spines at all, Cassandra Clare. Again, just City of Bones and what it did for me, I can't say that I'm shocked, but the fact that I love this as much as I did, the fact that I've read literally as many books as I've had, is just shocking me. I can't believe it. I just plan on reading City of Bones and seeing if I liked it. Literally, I have 2 copies of it because I just bought this one and then bought the entire series because I was hooked. And just her writing, the story, the world building, the way that she describes things, everything in this was amazing. Then I read Infernal Devices, which everybody said was the greatest trilogy that they've ever read in their life. And initially, I'm going to be honest, don't come for me, I was like, I don't see it after book 2. And then I read book 3 and I was like, oh, yes, this is what I wanted. I get it. I get why you're saying this. And it just was so good. And just the callbacks and the mentions of things that happened, you know, within the Mortal Instruments series, and just the lore of it all, oh my gosh, was crazy. It just makes me so excited that I still have so many other books to read by her and so many other series to read by her, and just so much more of this world that I can get engrossed in and meeting new characters. It just makes me so excited that I decided to finally pick this up and that I loved it and that there's so much more to read within her world. Okay, and these are 2 books that made me cry, like sob tears. And I will say, even though I am an emotional person, within a book, it takes a lot for me to cry. This first one, no, both of them were very shocking that I started crying in these books. And if you've read them, I think you'll understand. Well, maybe not this first one. The first one is Clockwork Princess. Towards the end, I think it was like the last 100 pages. When I tell you, I just had like tears streaming down my face. I was crying, I was happy, I was sad, I was like disappointed that this book was about to end. It just pulled so many emotions out of me, and this is why I said like this was a turning point of the series for me, because of what the author did. I knew that I loved these characters before I started this, but like after I finished, it just shot them up so high. It was, you know, when you have like the favorite characters that you think about years and years later, you can't stop thinking about them? That is what they're going to be for me. I know that. I know that it doesn't matter what other books I'm reading, when I'm in the other books within the Shadowhunter realm, I'm going to be thinking about them. And I love that. I love that this book shocked me. I love that I didn't expect anything. And I will just show you this now. The tabs in this book, I didn't tab any other books in the series, but I started reading this, and just some of the quotes and the things the characters are saying and their feelings being invoked, I had to tab it because I could just tell off the bat that I was going to absolutely love this. And I'm glad that I did, because now it's something that I can look back on and see, you know, like what were these things that I loved so much? And it was all of it, truly. So this was one. And then the other was God of Fury. And again, if you've read it, I feel like you know why. I'm not going to say just in case you haven't, but it was one where I didn't like read the trigger warnings in the beginning. And if you haven't read it, that's what I suggest, because the emotional impact that it had to me later on was, ooh, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything in the world. It just made the book that much better, and really was putting a lot of understanding behind the characters and the situation that was going on, and just getting a better understanding of them. And though I can say that I could somewhat see where it was going, one of the things that happened in this book genuinely shocked me. Like, I had to put the book down. I had to stare up into space for 20 minutes and ask myself, did that truly just happen? Did this really happen? Like, I'm thinking about it now, and it just, oh my gosh, it was just, yeah, it messed me up. And it was so shocking. And I don't want to be weird. I'm like, do I say that I love that? I don't think I did love it, but like, it just made me go, man, like, again, I knew I cared about these characters. I knew I loved them, but like, that just proved it. That just made me go, okay, you 2, Soulmates 1. 2, this is for sure my favorite book in the Legacy of God series. And 3, I like romance. Like, I need to start reading this immediately, which I did after this. And I'm just like, nobody's going to touch you 2. Nobody. A book that made me happy. I mean, if you can see over here, Windy City, this is kind kind of like a spin-off to it somewhat. This is about Monty and Reese. Monty is the father of Miller. Miller is my favorite female character in the Windy City series. Monty and her book, loved him, amazing. Then I saw he was getting his own book. I said again, sign me up. I loved the cameos in this book. I loved Reese. That chick is a badass. She was doing what she needed to do, and I was just like, girl, yes, I love it. Monty, amazing. I already knew it, but then being in his own head and just hearing him talk about Reese and his daughter and his grandson and Kai just made me realize how much more I love him. He just was amazing, and it was just making me smile the entire time, like being back in this world, getting to see these characters, getting to see Monty find love, which he absolutely deserved, and just kind of, and it's so bittersweet, but like kind of wrapping up their like world, if you will, because I know West on 40 is doing another one, but it's set in another city, and I hope that there are cameos in that, oh my gosh. Anyway, but just what was in this book and just the feelings it gave me and how excited it made me and happy, it was amazing. And this might be the first time that this has ever happened to me, but newest fictional crush, I don't have one, and that is sad. I'm like, if I had to pick somebody, if my like thumb, my hand, whatever, had to be twisted, maybe I would say Will Herondale from the Infernal Devices series. This guy, especially in the third book, oh my gosh, the character growth. The character growth was amazing with this character. If you've read like Mortal Instruments and you met Jace, they give off very similar vibes, but there's something about him, and this man has black hair and blue eyes, that just spoke to me, and that I was like, this guy, I feel like is so misunderstood. It just has the weight of the world on his shoulders, and it's just really trying to do what he thinks is best. And again, I think he's 17 or 18 in this book, and it's just functioning how I feel like a 17 or 18-year-old would, just not knowing what to do, trying to protect the people you love, trying to do the right thing, trying to take everything on and not burden anybody, even though he wasn't. So if I had to pick somebody, I think I would say him. So these are the prettiest books that I've gotten this year, which I tried to narrow it down, but I think I have like 5. Some are series, some are like standalones, interconnected standalones. So first, I'm going to start with the DC Stars series. I got this from Smut and Sip. I love the colors and I love how they match the books that are in the actual series. I love the character art in it, the art that's actually within the book, so in the end papers, and just this is one of my favorite series, my favorite hockey romance series, so I knew I had to get these when they showed them, and I love them and I love displaying them. That's literally why that whole shelf is its own shelf. Next is the Devil's Night series, which I bought this, I believe it was from Books for Days Crate, but the main reason that I got this was I was looking for a set of the series that had this beautiful character art, which it does. So that's Corrupt, Hideaway, Kill Switch, probably my favorite, Nightfall, and then Conclave and Fire Knights, so the 2 novellas. I have not finished the series, but I know I'm gonna really like it, and I knew that I would like literally kick myself if I passed up these editions because I love the character art of it so much. So much. So when I saw that they were putting these back on sale, I was like, okay, I'm gonna snatch those up, and I did, and I'm excited to eventually like finish the series. But yeah, these editions, gorgeous. And then the 4th book in the Zodiac Academy series, which is one of my favorite series that I've read. So that's Shadow Princess, and that is Caleb. And I feel like purely the reason why this one is one of my favorites that I got this year is because, I have to say it, look at how gorgeous this man looks on this cover. And I'm not a blonde girl, but Caleb, ooh, Caleb's character art is probably my favorite out of the ones I've gotten so far from the Twisted Sisters for Zodiac Academy. I love the green in the back. I just love how good he looks. Sorry, I'm like, this one is so pretty. And then, you know, they do these really cool edges, which I also really like, and then they have like photos throughout the story that like correlate with different things that happen, so that one's really good. And then one of my favorite books, Nightshade. if you haven't noticed. So I have this one. So we have Ophelia and Alex. And I just, again, I love the character art on this. And I love that this is like the naked hardback. And then these little like pictures on the back that there are things that happen in the story, which I love. There's also it's like really pretty character art. Yeah, and just having, a special edition of one of your favorite books, I feel like is always so much fun because then you can look back at it and stare at it for hours maybe. Not saying that I've done that. And then Quicksilver, which I believe this is from Lilac Libraries, which I believe they're also a small business that does special editions. And when I saw that they were doing this, it just had this cover, which is gorgeous. I love this like baby blue and like darker blue around it. It's just amazing. And so they only had that. So when I got it, I was not expecting this. This literally, the way that my jaw was on the floor when I saw it, and then the butterflies, if you know, you know, just gorgeous. And they did such a good job, on everything in this book. I don't want to be like I was shocked, but I was not expecting it to look the way that it did. I just thought that it was really amazing, and I'm like, I'm for sure going to be ordering more from you, and especially Brimstone when they announce that. And then some books that I want to get to by the end of the year. First of all, Reckless. Mainly because I want to get to Fever Dream, but also because I've been putting the story off because it's accidental pregnancy, which is not one of the genres that I like. But I've heard a lot of people say that even if you don't like this genre, this book you're still going to like. And I've seen, sprinklings of these characters throughout the rest of the Chestnut Spring series. And so I'm so excited to read about this and then read Fever Dream. And I heard that a lot of people like Theo Silva. And from the little bit that I saw of him, I'm like, I feel like I'm going to like him too. And then next, these big behemoths of books. Crescent City. Yeah, you heard that right. And then I got to read this before ACOTAR 6. These books, oh my gosh, are so chunky. And I was like, oh, I could put this off. I'll be fine. Like, she's not going to announce ACOTAR 6 for a while. And then she announced it, and I said, oh my gosh, I have to reread ACOTAR. And then I have to read Crescent City, so I'm prepared. Yeah, these are like main priority. Like, I have to read these so I can read ACOTAR 6 because I'm reading ACOTAR 6 when it comes out in October. So like, I need to get on these right now. Okay, and then I did answer this question earlier, but I'll do it again. How many 5 stars have I had this year? 3, which is very shocking. I feel like by this time, typically every year, I at least have like 5, 6, maybe more. And I don't know if just my reading taste has changed or if I've been more picky or just the books I've been picking up have not been giving me, that 5-star feeling. But the 3 were, again, God of Fury, my number 1, Hunt the Villain, and then Clockwork Princess, which was actually a recent 5-star. And all of those just really stood out to me. All of them, like, pulled at me emotionally. All of them, I really love the characters and they stood out to me and the story stood out to me. So they are the 3 5-stars that I've had. Okay, and then some books that I want to reread, which you can kind of already see is going to be ACOTAR. I'm not including the little novella because I don't feel like I really need to reread that, but these 4 I have to reread before ACOTAR 6 because when Sarah J. Maas did her podcast on Call Her Daddy, and she started talking about things that happened in A Court of Silver Flames, and I had no idea what she was talking about, I was like, okay, no, you have to reread because I need to make sure that I'm as fresh as possible so it can emotionally impact me, devastate me, whatever she feels like she needs to do. I want to get the full experience. And then my girl Nightshade, because Daybreak comes out in July. Again, one of my favorite books that I read last year. Think about it all the time. You know already. I just need to reread this. I have to see the characters again. I want to see if this is going to hit as hard as the first time. I do have parts of this like underlined, so I'm going to love like seeing that and being able to read it throughout this reread. Love that. And then my last one is Phantasma, which I read. It's going to, I think, almost be 2 years now in September. Loved it. Think it's a good spooky season read. I really love the characters in it. I love that it's like a haunted house set in New Orleans where, they have these deadly trials where they're going into games and stuff, and just, I really, really loved it. And weirdly enough, I tried to read it last year. And I think because I waited too long to read it fall, like too far out, that I didn't get the opportunity to finish it, and I'm like, I need to pick that up this year because I'm so excited for that. A book that I enjoyed with mixed reviews. Yeah, Blood of Hercules. Again, if you saw in the beginning, I literally said that this was a book I was never planning on picking up. I was not going to read it, and then I did, and I loved it. I feel like, again, the reason that this one has so many mixed reviews is because people don't necessarily like the brand of humor that the author uses in this book. They don't really like the characters, maybe like the synopsis on the back told them one thing and they went in with the wrong expectations because of that. But I will say that I really love this. Again, I enjoyed it so much more than I expected. That's why it was a huge surprise. And the brand of humor speaks to me, like that is my humor. The Greek mythology elements of it were so well done, in my opinion. And there was also a side character in here. That's my girl. I love her. She's the snake, Nyx. And some people also didn't like her. And no, I loved her. She just added so much to the story for me. And then Alexis, the FMC, really her self-deprecating attitude, even though it's just like sometimes a girl, come on. The way that like I feel like I was interpreting it just made me go, okay, like she is trying to get through this day by day and she's using the mechanism that she knows best and this is working for her. So yeah, I really love this. I thought, again, it was so good. And there are some things where I'm like, I feel like I can understand maybe why some people don't like this, and then I also understand why people absolutely love this like I did. And lastly, some 5-star predictions for the rest of the year for me. ACOTAR 6, Burn of the Everflame. Those two I have such high expectations for. Like, if they're not a 6-star, if they're not a 5-star, maybe even a 6-star, which I don't really have 6 stars, I'm going to be so thoroughly shocked, because those are the two where I'm just like, there's no way you're not going to wow me. There's no way that this are not going to be, well, Burn of the Everflame, a good conclusion, and then ACOTAR 6 starting whoever's story this is going to be about. I just, ooh, the anticipation for those two, I am hoping that they're going to be so good. And honestly, I have no doubt that they're going to be amazing. So if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching my video today. I really appreciate it. I'd love to know if any of the books that I mentioned were some of the books that you also felt the same way about, or for these questions, what are some of the books that you put down? What are some of your most anticipated releases? What are some of the books that you were just, you know, like foaming at the mouth to get? What are you looking forward to this year? How has your reading year gone so far? I would love to know.